Ready? Good evening, Board of Directors, Superintendent Laureus, staff, and guests. Thank you for joining us this evening for our May regular board meeting today. It is 5:45 p.m. I now call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have our agenda in front of us. Do we have any amendments or any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
The agenda is presented.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a 4-0 vote. We now have an agenda. Next on our agenda is staff and student recognition. First, we will welcome Stephanie Partlow to introduce and tell us a little bit about the 2026 TechStart Oregon Technology Student of the Year.
Did my student come?
Yes, absolutely.
And, sorry, do I face? Where do I stand?
You can stand right there and kind of face that way. That's perfect.
Okay. So I'm Stephanie Partlow, and this is Alondra. And Alondra was awarded the Oregon Technology Student of the Year from TechStart. And Alondra is a very special student because she is really passionate about sharing her passion with all other students. She has shown up to every college and career night, STEM fair, anything that we are at, she is there. She is getting little kids to be really excited about robots, even doing the little 6-7 with the robot and making our elementary school students just giggle their heads off. She does, with our older students, she was at parent night and she was just switching between our table, the engineering table, the technology makers club table, and just between English and Spanish and anybody who would come up, she was getting excited about our program. And right now she is working to develop an app where you can track how your emotions impact your budgeting and to help inform you to budget better based on your emotions and your spending. So I could go on and on and on, but I want to value your time. And so Alondra, give it up for Alondra.
We'll get a picture of you on the board. Yep, right hand.
Next, we will recognize our 2025-2026 retirees. And as Superintendent Laureus introduces you, if you will come forward, please.
It's a great honor tonight to be able to celebrate and recognize our retirees whose service, is, I was going to add up all the years of service that they've done. And it's like, well, this won't even begin to measure the impact that our educators have had, our staff have had on the lives of so many people here in Woodburn. And so it's a great honor tonight to be able just to celebrate them, hold them up, lift them up, and say thank you for the impact that you've had on countless lives of students and staff and family members who have walked through the door. So we really greatly appreciate all your service, the heart that you've brought to the work. It's just been immeasurable. So thank you so much for all that you've done. As you hear your name cold, please come up. We have a little certificate, a little just token of appreciation. We wish you the best on the next phase of your life and all that you have ahead of you. We will definitely miss you all and hope that you can just continue to stay connected and come back and just be a part of our community because you've been a part of our community for so many years, or for so many. Thank you. Ken Cole. Nikki Tucker. Sandra Shaler. Linda Patrick. I know Linda. I saw Linda. Come on down, Linda. Let's have you stick around here for a big picture, Linda. Russell Lindsay. Rebecca Burke. And Linda, let's have you come back up so we can get a big picture with everybody before everybody, like, all the retirees. Deb Yeager. Deb Yeager. Come on. Alicia Marin. Natalie Garcia. Carmina Medina. Lori Albrecht. Ernestina Martinez. Verónica Montes de Piscini. Felicidades, Verónica, felicidades. Sonia Cool. Catherine Johnstone. Kim Dennis. Michael Dobson. Angie McNatt. Charlotte Phipps. Charlotte. 28 years. Teresa Crisín. Leticia Acuña. And Janie Kincaid. So just a big thank you for all that you've impacted and all that you've done for the Woodburn School District. You've just been amazing individuals, not just only here in work, but in life. So thank you.
Once again, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you for your years of service to the district and say that retirement is all that it's cracked up to be. You're going to love it. Okay, next item of the agenda is public comment. Jenny, did we receive any public comment? Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you for being at the Woodburn School District Board meeting tonight and for sharing your comments with the board. Hearing from our families and community is important to us. During this section, the board's role is to listen. We will not be engaging in dialogue with folks making comments. When follow-up is warranted, that may be done through our superintendent in collaboration with myself, the board chair. As a reminder, we model the way for our children. Please keep your comments respectful and do not personally identify staff or students by name as it may violate personnel and student privacy laws. In accordance with board policy BDDHAR, the board will not hear comments regarding any individual staff members. We want to leave time for everyone, so please keep your comments to 3 minutes per person. We have a timer set for your convenience. Thank you. I would like to invite Charles Sanderson up to read their public comment.
My name is Charles Sanderson, and I've been an educator for more than 2 decades. I was the Willamette Region's Oregon Teacher of the Year in 2020, and I've been awarded fellowships from the Pulitzer Center, 1619 Education Network, Fulbright Teachers for Global Classrooms, NEA Foundation Global Teaching Fellows, and Vocal Justice, an organization dedicated to empowering young people to use their authentic voices to speak up on the issues that matter most to them. Teaching and serving the students in Woodburn is easily the best job in the world. Our students consistently win regional and national recognition for their writing, leading to publication and performance opportunities that help spread the powerful stories of our community and help distinguish the Woodburn School District as the home of some of the very best writers in all of the country. I've been deeply involved in our teachers union in the past. I've been a building rep, and as Juan and Casey know, I spent 3 years as the union's grievance chair, where I spent countless hours advocating for the rights of teachers across the district, and in the process earning distinction from Mid-Valley. In our last contract negotiation, I wore red and marched in solidarity with my fellow union members, and I was proud of the outcome. A great contract with great language and a great COLA. The language of our last contract was a win for the district, teachers, students, and families. And in this negotiation, we've already secured a first-of-its-kind article on supporting immigration safety, something we all should be incredibly proud of. However, during this negotiation, I haven't worn red, nor have I marched in solidarity. That's because I believe many of our current asks for language are unnecessary, ill-advised, and spend money that should be focused on direct services to our students. For example, we shouldn't be spending money on window coverings for second-story windows with no sight lines to the ground. We already have plenty of prep time. And most importantly, we should not be advocating for exclusionary practices that fuel the school-to-prison pipeline and have disparate and punitive impacts on students of color, students with disabilities, and students who are or perceived as LGBTQ+. In addition, our union's COLA ask is oblivious to our current economic realities and reckless in regards to an unknown economic future. Lastly, I'm disappointed with the tone and tenor of how my union has bargained. And when I voiced those concerns, I've been largely gaslit and told that communication that I believe is disrespectful, antagonistic, and detrimental to building a collaborative relationship is in fact justified. I believe that in the field of education, there is no justification for treating any stakeholder with disrespect. Thank you.
I would next like to invite Megan Randall up to do her public. Oh, Zoom, okay. Hi, Megan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Quick statement. I'll begin by saying thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here tonight. One critical issue related to the contract bargaining process that I'd like to highlight this evening is extending the existing class size protections to include both grades 4 and 5. These are pivotal years when academic demands increase and preparation for middle school begins. Therefore, students need the same focused attention and support that they receive in the lower grades. Recently, in arguing that caps are unnecessary, the district provided class averages across language strands. In the current language strand model, with uneven numbers of classrooms per strand, averages hide the real story. Some classrooms have had as few as 16 students, while others in the same building have reached as high as 32. In a class of 32, a student's opportunity for individualized academic attention is slashed by 50% compared to a peer in a class of only 16. When class sizes swing this widely, averages do not accurately reflect the daily reality that each elementary student in Woodburn faces. But if averages must be used, the latest numbers announced by the district show that classes in the 4th and 5th grades are currently less than 25. Therefore, I think that a reasonable cap of 25 should be a modest and achievable safeguard. This change would protect students from vast imbalances in their learning conditions without requiring major staffing changes or significantly increasing costs. So, why the hesitation to compromise on this reasonable protection rather than maintaining a firm opposition? A cap of 25 simply ensures that every student receives the focused instruction, feedback, and sense of belonging that they need to thrive. These are common sense class size protections that all students deserve. I respectfully urge the district bargaining team to work with the WEA this week to come to a compromise. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. I'd next like to call Max Sanchez to read his public comment.
Good afternoon. A week and a half ago, WSD released their auditing report for the 2024-2025 school year. Although this report was delayed by over 4 months, the district has not yet provided any reason. The report clearly shows that WSD is in far better financial health than was previously been reported, with nearly 11 million more than what was projected. This shows us two things. One, the district has underreported its finances to the public and the staff. And two, WSD can afford to give its staff a reasonable cost of living adjustment. In 2 days, WSD will be sitting down with the Woodburn Education Association for a third mediation session. WEA remains committed. Thank you. Let's see, where was I? WEA remains committed to working with the district to find compromise and common ground. Throughout the negotiating process, we have tried to collaborate with the district to address staff concerns, provide more resources to students, and build the fair contract we all deserve. We have been consistently met with obstruction, indifference, and bad faith bargaining on the part of the district. The auditing report is just the latest example of a much larger problem: the lack of trust between the administration and our staff. WSD has said we are in dire financial straits, and if they give us a COLA of over 3%, it would bankrupt the district. The auditing report clearly shows this to be inaccurate. The district has also said they can't afford to put coverings over windows to protect our students in the event of a lockdown or other emergency. I'm sure with the extra 11 million, the district can find the funds to make this happen. Last Friday, WSD announced that it will be moving our alternative program to the high school campus due mostly to budget restraints. The auditing report paints a much different picture. This move is both unnecessary and harmful. It will put additional pressure on high school staff and will ensure that the students who need the most support will have fewer resources devoted to them. I am also concerned about what after bargaining is finished. Regardless of the outcome, trust will need to be restored. The relationship between admin and staff is the lowest I have ever seen. If we are going to work towards fixing this, a good starting point will be the contract. WSD needs to work with us to create a fair contract that meets everyone's needs. I would like to close by inviting this board to attend our rally this Thursday at 4:30 here at the district office. Talk to your staff members and listen to what they have to say. Although we may not agree on everything, we are ultimately on the same side, and we all want what is best for our students and community. It is time we lived up to our own ideals.
Are you reading a couple tonight?
I'm reading,
right.
I have a stack.
Okay. Are you Jason Levin?
I can be Jason Levin.
Okay.
All
Jason
right.
Levin.
Members of the board, I'm submitting this statement to remind you of something that seems to have been lost in this process. The district's bargaining team answers to you. Your own board policy is clear. The board directs the collective bargaining process and establishes salaries, terms, and conditions of employment, and district-wide personnel policies. That responsibility ultimately rests with you. So I have to ask, are you satisfied with what your team is doing in mediation? Because from where we sit, this has not looked like good faith bargaining. This has looked like obstruction, pessimism, and manufactured scarcity. Let's start with the numbers. The district's own director of business dramatically overstated expenditures and understated revenues in budget projections, creating the appearance that the district ending fund balance would collapse from roughly 15 million to 5 million, a 10 million swing. This is not a rounding error. This is not a minor forecasting discrepancy. This is either extraordinary incompetence or a deliberate attempt to manufacture financial panic. And if it is incompetence, what are the consequences? Who is accountable when financial leadership gets it this wrong in the middle of contract negotiations?
Excuse me. Policy says you can't speak about a specific staff member,
Okay.
so be really careful.
I will then. So I can't.
So anything that is,
So I can't mention like, even like title?
no, because we only have one.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Let's see. On April 22nd, Governor Tina Kotek came to Woodburn.
You can say her. She doesn't work in the district.
District employee, right? Okay, cool. Came to Woodburn to celebrate a major package of housing legislation designed specifically to expand housing access for working families, seniors, and middle-income Oregonians. Right here in our community. Woodburn is one of the fastest growing communities in the state. Families are moving here, housing is expanding, students follow families. And district funding follows students through average daily attendance. So once again, the district's story does not match reality. First, we are told there is no money until the numbers are scrutinized. Now we are told there will be fewer students despite clear evidence that this community is growing. At some point, this stops looking like cautious planning and starts looking like a pattern. This board was elected to provide oversight, leadership, and accountability. Several seats changed hands because this community expected better. Now is the time to exercise that leadership. Direct your bargaining team to stop negotiating from a place of manufactured crisis. Direct them to stop obstructing progress. Direct them to meet educators halfway. Because our members are not asking for extravagance, we are asking for fair compensation, honest numbers, and a district that bargains in good faith. Thank you, Jason Levin.
Sherry Chambers?
Yep.
Great.
Considering the financial information that was just released, it is disappointing that the district is not willing to grant us fair cost of living raises. I urge board members to encourage the district to come to an agreement as soon as possible because this has gone on too long. That's it.
Julia Vera?
That's me too. Eventually I'll run out of paper.
Okay.
Dear board members, I am writing to lodge a complaint that is causing me great distress. I have worked for this school district for many, many years and have lived here in beautiful Woodburn for just as long. This gives me the right to come voice my concerns and say that I am very frustrated with the situation we teachers in this district are once again experiencing. As you know, we are in contract negotiations, and you know that we are in the same boat as 3 years ago. From what I see, the school district is employing the same dirty tactics as last time and is spending money it should not be spending. The district is also paying a lawyer to support them during negotiations. I believe that you on the board are allowing this to happen. I am complaining because all this is causing educators distress. We are wasting time and the district is avoiding paying us a fair wage. The cost of living has gone higher than what the district is offering us. Let me tell you, last night I went to Mega Foods to buy tomatoes. A pound of Roma tomatoes costs $2.68. Do you want more examples? Well, no, because you know how much prices of necessities have gone up as well. I can lose a penny, I do not mind. I can lose 5 cents and maybe not either. However, if I lose $1, that's when I start realizing something's wrong. So I want to thank So I want to think something's wrong here because not knowing that you have 11 million lost or hidden is worrying, not just for teachers' salaries, but for the well-being of all staff. It is one of two things. Either we are incompetent with money here in our district, or the district is acting in bad faith. I also want you to remember that I personally, with the little time I have been fighting to have board members who know how to value and recognize all the work done by the teachers, the assistants, the kitchen staff, the janitors, the secretaries, parent contact members, and those who maintain the playgrounds. Therefore, members of the board see how failing to negotiate in good faith is hurting educators, like most of us, is causing a lot of stress. Do not let the Woodburn School District bargaining team continue to treat us like we are incompetent and that we will accept an unfair contract cost of living adjustment just to keep quiet. Do not let us to strike because my community would be affected. Please listen to us and do the best for educators, students, and the communities. Julia Vera.
Are you anybody else?
Not at the moment. Well, I could also be Miranda Ratliff.
Oh, I think she's here.
She's asked me to.
Oh, okay. Well then, since you're sitting there, be
Okay.
Miranda.
Let's go for it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and share my perspective on some of the challenges we are facing today. As a proud member of the Woodburn faculty, it is not always easy for me to speak up. However, I care deeply about this district, this community, and the future we are building together. For the first time in my career, I truly understand what it means to work in a place where you can envision yourself growing, learning, and eventually retiring. Before coming to Woodburn, I never fully understood how people could dedicate decades of their lives to one district. Now I do. I can generally see myself spending my career here and one day retiring proud of the work this district has done and the role I played in serving this community. At the same time, there are obstacles that make this vision difficult. As a single woman, I cannot afford to live in the community I serve without either taking on a roommate or settling for a house that is less than ideal. While my commute is manageable after long days and long hours spent supporting students, being able to live closer to the community I serve would make a meaningful difference in my quality of life and ability to continue showing up refreshed and ready for students each day. I am not someone who complains often. I understand that situations can always be worse, and I try to approach issues with empathy and perspective. I know what it is like to live in poverty, and I know what it means to work towards stability. I understand there are financial realities and larger pressures districts face. But I also believe things could be better with greater understanding and support from those who make decisions that directly impact educators' livelihoods. When people say teachers should do more, I agree that we should always strive to improve. What I struggle to understand is why educators are so often required to fight for basic needs when many are already stretched beyond capacity. If we are already giving everything we can, why must securing the basics feel like such a battle? I currently work 2 jobs because one is not enough to support myself financially. Like many educators, I pour my time, energy, and heart into my students every day. Yet even then, it often feels like there is never enough, not enough time, not enough money, and not enough resources to fully meet the needs of the students and community we serve. I am speaking tonight because I believe in this district. I believe in our students, our staff, and our future. I simply hope that the people making decisions for this district can recognize the realities educators face and work towards solutions that allow us not only to survive, but continue to build long and meaningful careers here in Woodburn. I understand the concept of saving for a rainy day, but from my perspective, it's about time to start. It's about to start pouring. And I need you to hear me when I say, help us.
Next, I'd like to call Carol Kramer. Carol, you have 2, so if you want to do back to back, okay. Okay, thank you. Uh-oh.
Thank you for the time tonight. My name is Carol Kramer. I'm a special education assistant at Heritage Elementary School. I love my job. I love my coworkers, but I'm ready for the next few days to be done. Classified staff stand with WEA, supporting their good faith efforts to bargain for a fair contract and COLA. Over 200 classified staff have signed a petition asking the district to bargain in good faith with WEA to finalize a fair contract. The district consistently states they are acting fiscally responsibly. Now, whether or not that is 100% true, their voice of support and respect for our certified staff doesn't exactly align with the district's actions. The numbers reported by the district have been inconsistent, and it begs the question, what's the reason for the shifting dollar amounts? The audit clearly shows there are funds available for what WEA is bargaining for, and especially including a fair COLA, which of course classifieds are keeping an eye on for sure. The school district operates on the symbiosis of the administrative, certified, and classified employees. It's like a three-legged stool that sits stably on the ground. Budgets are moral documents showing our values. So perhaps when creating future budgets, adjustments to the top-heavy administration costs can be made in order to provide more equitably for certified and classified employees, ensuring this three-legged stool is sound. The gilded administration must be considered for adjustments needed for the financial operations of this district to run more smoothly, and that the budget meets the needs of all our students, staff, and community. And my second one, and I think I failed to mention, I'm the secretary of OSEA Chapter 25, Woodburn Classified Union. Last fall, the leadership of both unions put time and effort into a rapid response team regarding ICE in Woodburn. Those efforts have spawned a community group, officially nameless, but affectionately referred to as the Bus Stops Here. Members met with Superintendent Larios about their plan to volunteer as a presence at a busy bus stop to gauge how this may help with community stresses. These intrepid men and women, retirees and entrepreneurs, people available for this in morning and mid-afternoons, paid for their own background checks, have identifying safety vests and whistles, and they have and continue to take training classes. A handful of them stand at a particular busy district bus stop, engaging in conversation with parents, delighting in the children of all ages, and being a presence of strength and compassion to our community. This has happened daily this spring, mornings and afternoons, with no fanfare or recognition. They recently asked parents if they thought their presence was a good idea to continue, to which there was a resounding yes. They feel safer with them there. I simply wanted to recognize these dedicated volunteers and let you know this is happening. They are not here for the limelight. Their enthusiasm has not wilted with what they're doing, and it is a joy to be peripherally involved with them.
I next like to call Kathy Mincer for public comment.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Mincer, Special Education Mentor and Co-Chair of the WA Bargaining Team. As part of the previous bargaining team, I helped secure class size and caseload caps under Article 14. At the time, we limited restrictions to K-3 general education to minimize economic impact. Since ratification, however, systemic issues have emerged that urgently need addressing. While our two-way Spanish and Russian programs have generally stayed below these limits, our English Plus classes have not. The average class sizes shared in the May 15 staff promise are misleading. Averages are an inaccurate measure of class size, and averaging different language strands together obscures reality. I must also clarify terminology. The district repeatedly calls these numbers targets. That is incorrect. A target is a goal to aim for. These numbers are caps designed to prevent classes from becoming too large. The district shared these approximate averages. Kindergarten, second, and third grade, 23 students. First and fifth grade, 21 students. Fourth grade, 22 students. The staff promise noted that, quote, fourth and fifth grade targets were excluded because the district prioritized lower elementary grades and additional targets would increase operating costs, end quote. But if current averages are already below the proposed limits, why would costs rise? The answer lies in breaking down the averages by language strand. The two-way Spanish program averages are K1 in fifth grade, 21 students, second through fourth grade, 22 students. all within current or proposed limits. English Plus, K1 21 students, second grade 28, third grade 26, fourth grade 25, fifth grade 24. Second, third, and fourth grades exceed proposed limits. While the district claimed no fourth or fifth grade class currently has 30 students, a fifth grade class did hit 30 this year, and that same cohort reached 32 in fourth grade. The Russian program, kindergarten, has 31 students after one of the two classes from the previous year was eliminated. First and second grade, 24 students, third grade 20, fourth 16, and fifth 17. Increased costs only appear when looking at individual classrooms rather than broad averages. We do have fourth and fifth grade classes with more than 25 students, and all of them are in the English Plus program. At one school, administrators realized fourth and fifth grades could not be served without adding staff, so they created two classes to divide 46 fourth graders and 42 fifth graders. The contract didn't force this. The district simply did the right thing, proving it is possible. After all, aren't we in the business of educating students? Do we just tell the community we can't afford to provide an equitable education for our English language students? Providing equitable classes to our English strand must be a priority. Administrators have noted that English program students have scored lower on state testing than dual students. We must ask, are large class sizes a contributing factor? How do we fulfill the Woodburn vision as an equitable community of learners where each student is supported and prepared to succeed if we don't actually support each student? Thank you.
I'd next like to call Chelsea Frankovich to read her public comment.
Good afternoon, school board members and Superintendent Larios. I sent an email to all of you on May 18th. I'm here to share it personally as I didn't receive much of a response. I appreciate your response, Mr. Byer. Specifically, I'm concerned about the amount of time, funds, and energy that have been spent on the bargaining and mediation process over the past year. Therefore, I'm here today to encourage the board to consider the importance of the Woodburn School District bargaining team settling with WEA as soon as possible. For over a year, is it working? Okay. For over a year, I have participated on the bargaining team for WEA for contract negotiations. We are a team of educators that were elected by our members to serve on this team. We have representation from all the schools here in the Woodburn School District. We meet outside of school hours to do this important democratic work. When we have had meetings during the day, whether they're for planning or mediation, our union pays for the subs. When we have lunch or dinner provided, our union pays for the subs or for the food. When we have support on communication and budget audit analysis, the union pays for the support. Bargaining and mediation have begun to feel imbalanced and like an unfair power play on the part of the district. I'm curious about the time that is spent during the school day by Woodburn School District bargaining team for planning and preparation. I'm curious about the cost of their lawyers, food for their team, who's crafting their communication, how it's being paid for. I'm wondering where the money comes from to support the team and the process, one that's dragging on past the one-year mark. I don't understand the budget process very well, but I do believe that the audit that was recently released compared with the budget is telling my team something about the financial situation in the district. I trust that our OEA lawyer and our budget analyst from OEA are analyzing and interpreting the documents in good faith. I am unsure what to do about the differences in information that I'm receiving from the two sides. I have served in the Woodburn School District for half of my life, currently completing my 24th year. I want to remain optimistic about our district, but I'm having a hard time given the nature of how bargaining and mediation is going. I feel disheartened that the WSD team would not meet with us at the beginning of mediation on May 14th. The strike pledge that was to be presented to them should not have been seen as a threat, rather as a signal that the majority of members have shared feelings about how contract negotiations are going. If a group of students signed a petition of concern to present to the principal, it would not be acceptable for the principal to refuse to acknowledge these students, regardless of if they had an appointment set or not. I see the presentation of the strike pledge in the same way. The district had an obligation to simply listen to our co-chair's message. I am disappointed that this did not happen and view it as a cowardly act. Many times in our jobs, we have to do hard things. Meeting with the WA bargaining team might be one of those things for the Woodburn School District team, but it's an essential part of moving the bargaining and mediation process along. I hope, board members, that you consider encouraging the bargaining team to reach a settlement soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And next call Tony Salm. Good evening.
Esteemed members of the Woodburn School Board, the WA bargaining team takes its role seriously. Its responsibility is to represent our colleagues and advocate for the best possible working and learning conditions at Woodburn schools. Unfortunately, the district bargaining team, which has included members of this board, has not demonstrated the same seriousness or urgency. Had it done so, this contract could have been settled months ago. 3 years ago, bargaining also dragged on for nearly a year. Then, as now, we were told that meeting educator demands would threaten the district financially. Yet, under the pressure of an imminent strike, the district ultimately agreed to most of those demands, and the district was not bankrupted. Then, as now, there were more resources available for fair compensation than educators were initially led to believe. Then, as now, WA bargainers balanced full-time work as educators while spending evenings and weekends drafting and redrafting proposals, only to face repeated resistance across issue after issue. To many observers, it could appear less like bargaining and more like an effort to outlast educators until they simply give up. That's not going to happen. Then, as now, educators have made clear that while nobody wants a strike, educators are prepared to act if necessary. This is where the school board comes in. You were elected by the people of Woodburn. You have the authority and responsibility to provide leadership so that a fair settlement can be reached, one that allows all of us, educators, district staff, and administrators alike, to enter summer focused on recovery and return in the fall focused fully on students, because we know that student learning conditions and educator working conditions are inseparable. When teachers are overworked and underpaid, when classes are overcrowded, and when adequate support for major behavior issues is lacking, students lose access to the attention and support that they deserve. You were elected to represent the best interests of Woodburn families, students, and educators. Now is the time to step into that leadership role and help bring this process to a fair conclusion. Thank you.
I'd next like to call Eric Van Bergen. Public comment?
Hello, I'm Eric Van Bergen. I teach mathematics at Woodburn Success High School, and I'd like to comment on what I perceive as a violation of the district's commitment to the family and community partnerships, accountability, and equity. The Success staff was notified during an impromptu meeting on Friday, May 22nd, that Success High School would no longer be at 1316 Meridian Drive, but would instead be incorporated wherever we fit, assuming that there's even classrooms for us at the main Woodburn High School campus. This was driven in part by budgeting decisions. I noticed that in Appendix A8 of the proposed 2026-2027 budget that only the teacher's salaries and benefits for Success High School and none of its operating costs were budgeted for, which means that the district has known for a while that they would be moving Success, but willingly withheld that information from its key stakeholders. This is a betrayal of the value of commitment to family and community partnerships. Meanwhile, through conversations I've had this week, I've come to know that principals, secretaries, school counselors, and teachers of other schools all knew of this decision prior to the Success staff, and it was kept secret from us, families, and students. Why is it that the primary stakeholders in such a dramatic change were not communicated with at all prior to such a big decision? In addition, as a resident of Woodburn, I pay taxes and will continue to pay for the next decade in support of the $65 million bond that was passed in 2015 in order to build a new school for our Success students. This is a betrayal of the good faith of the taxpayers that voted to support our most vulnerable students, and it shows a real lack of accountability. Finally, I find the greatest concern of all Finally, I find the greatest concern of all to be for the students. Success functions as an entity that's separate from the Woodburn High School campus because of that system has failed them. The services and support that we provide at Success are in large part due to our separate small space. I consider my staff and team at Woodburn Success to be a strike force of sorts that can adjust and adapt quickly, and there's no space really for students to fall between the cracks since our building is so intimate and open. 1/3 of our seniors this year came to Success with zero mathematical chance of graduating this year due to a deficiency in credits. Many of those students have been so successful that they're anticipating coming back for a 5th year with a real plan to graduate. I'm worried that the students we serve will once again get lost in the system. This shift is compromising our commitment to equity. I believe in the mission of Success High School and the Woodburn School District, and I believe that this is one way that I can do my part to advocate for the needs of our most vulnerable students. Thank you.
Next, we'll have board reports. We will go around and each share how we are moving the district mission. Each board member will have about a minute to share. This is an opportunity to use the community engagement worksheet from last month as well. What key messages did you share this past month, or what other community or school opportunities did you engage in? Ryan?
So this past month, I focused on attending as many events as I could, and I went to the District Migrant Awards Night, and that was an incredibly inspiring event, and I just was so proud of our students. But that was really the highlight of the last couple of weeks.
Annabelle?
Pretty similar. I try to show up to the events, volunteered with one of the PBIS nights and parent club meeting with a French Prairie Middle School. Can't remember if it was this last month with the other Nino, or it was the previous one now, but did attend also the migrant program award night. I did miss the CELA by literacy one, which I wanted to go to, but it's been quite busy. So, but yes, I do plan on showing up to as many as the events I can as we close the school year as well.
I spent significant time looking at the audits for tonight and really what the district operations are doing. Also supported the district team at the LPV interview that they had.
I visited professional development. This time I visited the secretaries. They were recognizing the ones that were retiring. Since I spent a lot of time with them, I wanted to go and share in that. I also visited with the high school counselors and various other teachers that I passed in the hall, just to kind of get a feel of what was going on and what everybody was up to. I participated with Michael and with Juan at OPB's Think Out Loud. And I also missed the CELA by literacy. It just totally, it's been a busy time, but we've got graduation coming up and several other things, and I'm looking forward to being at those and supporting our students and staff. Next on the agenda, we have the operations reports, business office, the 24-25 audit report, and financial report. Sarah?
Sarah's on her way up, but we also have the auditor online on Zoom.
Good evening, school board. Is it working? Yeah. We've got Timothy, who is one of our auditors on the Zoom, and he is going to be, hi, Timothy. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Presenting the audit report.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Sounds good. Yeah, my name's Timothy Lamont. I'm one of the audit leads here at Polly Rogers. We conducted the audit for Woodburn School District. Let me share my screen here. Can everyone see this report on screen? I think you also have a physical copy.
It's a little small on our screen, but you guys all have a copy of that in your board packet. In your board packet, everything should be on page 4, but it is approximately the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th page after page 4. So page 10-ish in your board packet.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that page is the opinion letter page. This is where we have declared that we issued an modified opinion over the Woodburn School District's financial report. The part that was modified was due to us not implementing GASB 87 or 93. It was the same thing as last year. Those are the leases and subscriptions. And so that's just not on the first page of the financial statements. We and the district office kind of agreed that it takes a lot of time and more money to implement those, and so saving it for a future time, we agreed that would be better. But other than that, we issued a clean opinion over the financial statements. We had no major issues, no major findings, nothing notable of that. And so that's good. The first page kind of explains more in depth of what I was talking about with the leases and subscriptions, if you wanted to read that. But then the rest of it is just stating, it's basically just legal audit stuff saying, we tested to make sure the financials were covered by the general accepting accounting principles, GAAP. We also did the audit over state grants like the CE expenditures, and those were cleared. One of the things that we are still working on is the single audit. So you will receive a separate letter for the single audit. Those are for over federal expenditures. We have started it. The reason for that delay is just the federal government released the compliance supplement months and months later than they usually do due to shutdowns and things like that. The compliance supplement is the guide that we are required to use to audit the federal grants. And so we're hoping to finish that in like the next 2 weeks or so. But again, that was due to the compliance supplement from the federal government not being issued, nothing to do with the district. We're not expecting any major issues with that. But yeah, again, we issued a unmodified opinion on the financial statements, except in regards to leases and subscriptions. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions?
Not yet.
I guess I do have a question, and I don't know which person can answer this. I worked for the school district for a number of years and did state reporting, and there are deadlines, and to me, they're not arbitrary. And I know that the audit is due to the state at the end of December, although this year they did give an extension till February 2nd. So can you share with me, like, why is it taking so long to get the audit completed?
Yeah, I can give a bit of info there. One is due to the, like I said before, the compliance supplement. That was kind of like a major. We usually combine. It's one report, and we just issue it all at once because usually compliance comes in May, and so we work on it from May till the end. This time it didn't come until, I don't remember exactly, but it was the holidays, and so we missed out on like 5 to 6 months to be able to work on that. And so that extended it more. There were an issue with email communications. It got resolved. It turned out to be an IT issue. And so we were sending communications to the district office. And we were thinking maybe they were working on, maybe because the single audit delays or things like that, it was taking a bit to response. But it turns out there were IT issues where they weren't receiving, our email were being blocked. And so after a bit, I ended up, David and another manager here at the firm we started Zoom calling with the business office, and that started a steamroll of the audit getting done quicker. So those were the two major issues causing the delays. We're not, well, the compliance supplement from the federal government, we have no control over that. So hopefully that hopefully that'll get released earlier this year. The email issues, those all got fully resolved, and we're doing regular calls in case that ever does happen again. And so that shouldn't be an issue, but those are the two main things. Sarah might have something to add if she wants.
Yeah, we had that same issue, but 2 years ago about emails being filtered out, but we've got established regular check-ins now, so we don't have any issues moving forward.
So this year we could expect it to be done by the deadline, I would assume?
Unless the government slows
Unless
the
the government slows
compliance supplement. But even at that point, they expressed that they're comfortable issuing it without the single audit and releasing that later, so.
What was the district unable to?
Oh, sorry for interrupting. Just one other thing. With the delay there was a delay in last year, and it was, I believe, in more delay than this year. It caused a later start. And so since we're finishing even a little bit earlier than this year, we'll even have more time to prepare for next time. So yeah, pending the client supplement, there shouldn't be a delay again.
What was the district unable to fully implement or account for GASB 96 requirements during this audit cycle?
Sorry if I'm interrupting. If that was a question for me, I could not hear you on the mic.
You're a little quiet, Michael.
Why was the district unable to fully implement or account for GASB 96 requirements during this audit cycle?
Which requirements?
GASB 96.
So yeah, we abbreviate that GASB. So sorry about that. We have like an in lingo office thing. It would just take more time and more money, because as auditors we have to be a third party. We can't implement the new things ourselves. The district has to implement it, and then we review it. And so it would either we would have to charge a little bit more money to review that if the district did it themselves, or what a lot of districts have been doing is hiring a third party to do it for them. But a lot of districts have come to realize that it was kind of expensive and not really worth it. So we've actually had multiple districts that we work with all take a modified opinion on that. So it really just comes down to extra time and money that we didn't think was worth spending. What it is, it shows the district's subscriptions on the front page. So this is an opinion, subjective, but some people say there's not a lot of value added through that. And so it was just kind of a decision made. It's not really unable to, it's more time and money saving.
Yeah. Timothy, if you don't mind me adding to that.
Sure.
So it's kind of a cost benefit analysis for us. It's expensive to implement this GASB, and there's no harm in taking a modified opinion based upon not implementing. Where it shows on the financial statements is on the statement of net position, which for your general operations reviewing is not a useful statement to anyone but debt issuers or bankers. That's not generally statements that the public uses. The more relevant statements come in pages 5 and beyond in the financial statements. So again, with kind of the cost benefit analysis of it, it's not super useful to us to implement that with the cost associated.
Yeah, that's a good point that Sarah mentioned. One of the only reasons why some districts chose not to implement it is if like a specific bond that the school had, or maybe a federal grant required it. Woodburn School just doesn't have that. Most districts that don't have that like requirement from wherever you get a bond or a loan or they usually just don't implement it.
The other thing I would just, and this is just for me personally, at the end of the audit, I was given a questionnaire to fill out, and it had to be done by at least the board chair or one person before the audit could be filed. And when I read it, I was kind of surprised because it had the question, is there anything that you would like us to know before we start the audit? Which made me feel like the cart had gone before the horse. The audit had happened before the questions. And so in future, like I would appreciate, and the other board members got it as well, that would come prior to the audit starting, because it had questions that might have been helpful to you to have prior to the audit being done as opposed to being asked after it was finished.
So Timothy, could we get the 25, 26? Could we send that out now? Would that be okay?
We can send it out soon. We do have to wait till after July 1st. We have to wait till the full fiscal year ends.
So
But
expect on July 2nd.
Perfect.
yeah. So yeah, we
Or maybe after the 4th.
yeah, we'll send that as soon as possible at July 1st or after that week. I do believe, I think that also might have been one of the IT issues that we got resolved, because I believe, and this is last year at this point, so I might be wrong, but I actually think we did send one out, but I don't think that got through to anyone. And so I think that was probably the issue, because we do try to send those July every year. But we're also sending, what we're doing now to remedy that is we still send the emails, but we also have a secure ShareFile portal where we're now uploading everything into. So even if emails don't get through, Sarah in the business office still has access to everything that we need or upload.
Anybody else have any? Ryan, do you have any questions?
On the entire document or where we're at in the review?
Whatever you want to do, like,
Okay.
now's the time.
So I'm on page. Too much scroll. So my main concern is always the end fund balance. That's where I have to key into. And so when I'm looking at this end fund balance of $15,110,000, that was at the end of the 24-25 year.
Correct.
And so you've provided, I believe, updates to where we're standing at right now in May 26th.
Right. So if you go to the budget to actual ones, Timothy, because that one includes athletic reserve.
Yeah, I'm on page
Oh.
58.
Yeah. Somewhere towards the end. Yeah, right there. Perfect.
And so that's not our current financial situation.
No, so that would have been the 15.1 million would have been the beginning fund balance coming in to 25, 26.
That's right. And now we're at 11 or so.
That's the projected
That's
based upon the
projected.
financial statements, right, that we put together for the board each month.
And so we had a reduction in $3-point-something million over this last school year.
Correct.
That's a good point to make, that this is the 24-25.
Yeah.
So this reflects 24-25's financial standing, not the current.
Yeah, so it's always kind of hard with the audit and budget, like we're looking at last year,
Yeah,
where we're also reporting on current year and we're trying to project for next year.
Sure.
Annabelle, any questions?
Not that I'm able to exactly formulate well.
And I'm sure if you guys have other ones that are specific to the auditor that you guys come up with later on, we could get those to them.
Yeah, if anybody has any more specific questions that might require me to dig deeper into the report, you can let Sarah know, and she can send me an email, and I can dig through if there's any like longer questions you guys have.
there aren't any other questions, then Timothy, thank you so much for joining us. Sarah?
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, have a good rest of your guys' meeting.
You too, thank you. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Next, we'll move on to confirmation items. The items for confirmation are as follows. 1, meeting minutes of April 14th, 2026, special board meeting, April 28th, 2026, regular board meeting. Number 2, personnel. Number 3, surplus property disposal report. Number 4, acceptance of gifts and donations. Number 5, funding proposals and applications. Do we have any questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the confirmation items as presented.
I move to approve the confirmation items as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the confirmation items as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Next on our agenda, we have board action items. We have no old business, so we will move along to new business. First item for new business is the Substance User Prevention and Intervention Plan presented by Director Michelle Muir. Michelle? Good evening. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Here you know.
Okay, so I'm here to share with you the Substance Use Prevention and Intervention Plan for the district. The purpose of this plan is, first of all, it's required by Oregon Department of Ed as part of Division 22. It ensures that the district has a coordinated system for prevention education, early intervention, referral and support services, emergency response procedures, staff training, and family community partnerships. It supports safe, healthy, and drug-free schools, and the board approval tonight would demonstrate compliance with our Division 22 requirements as well as our commitment to student wellness. So in general, that's the purpose. It matters because substance use increases significantly by high school. So in our district, the numbers showed at 6th grade, it was like 6% had maybe tried alcohol or some other substance. By 8th grade, that shot to 10%, and by high school, 11th grade, it was 22%. So it's obviously really important to get in now. The student connectedness and trusted adult relationships remain critical to this protective factors, and prevention and early intervention reduce long-term academic, behavioral, and health risks, right? So what our plan includes, in a nutshell, is we have prevention education. This happens during our health education classes from kindergarten through 12th grade. We have in that instruction includes decision-making skills, peer pressure, resistance, mental health awareness, substance use risks and legal consequences, as well as accessing trusted adults and supports. We also have interventions and a referral system. There are procedures around that. First, it comes to safety, and what do we do if something actually occurred on campus, which includes nurses and emergency personnel. We also have a referral process if we have a concern. Maybe somebody was disciplined because they found some kind of substance on them. Maybe it was just somebody referring themselves because they're trying to get help. And then we have screening processes and things that we can then refer them to services. We also have staff training that occurs once a year. And these focus on like the signs of substance abuse. It focuses on overdose response procedures, referral pathways, and staff responsibilities within our plan. And then there's family and community partnerships, which most of the partnerships we have with agencies are like Marion County, the Willamette ESD, school resource officers, and community treatment providers. But we also have communications that go out and events that occur that we have people come in and talk to students and or families around substance use. In addition, we have that I wanted to share with you was some strengths and areas for growth within our district. We do have some great strengths. Our health curriculum is one of those. We have a very comprehensive curriculum. We also have existing counseling and social worker supports that address substance use. We have some strong community partnerships and annual prevention instruction. Some of the goal areas that we're hoping to focus on this year are increased family engagement, improving staff competence with referrals and processes, and clarifying procedures for accessing supports, increasing student involvement and prevention of efforts. And lastly, we have some strategic priorities for 26-27, which include continuing this prevention education implementation, updating our policies and procedures annually, ensuring that that occurs annually, that we increase community awareness of our resources. There are various resource fairs that occur. We host one of them, but there are others in the area. And then also expanding our role-specific staff training. There are things like counselors and social workers who very much are the people that are the front line to supports and services when it comes to this, that I think needs some more detailed training each year. And we also want to improve our communication and referral systems from the community. Any questions?
Kind of like, well, half question, half comment, I guess. I know that the prevention seems like it's mostly geared towards education, but my thing would be, how much is it going towards, one, knowing obviously what, why, and I'm sure there's other studies or things like that that you are able to use as to why students are end up going into any substance use, but then being able, like, partnerships to provide alternative activities that are after school beyond those that are already doing sports or other things like that, so that they're not necessarily left out into, sometimes parents are working late, or situations where they get into those peer pressure points where they end up actually trying something. So I would like to see more of that part. I like the engagement with the families and definitely the referrals. I think education is really big, but I think partnerships on being able to have alternative activities where they're not placed in a situation would be great to see.
I agree. I'm happy to look into that, see if we can't increase our partnerships.
Anybody else?
What metrics are we using to evaluate the success of the program?
So that is one of the things that I'm actually working on. And one of the things that we've realized is what happens, especially at the high school level, when we refer students, what happens is there's a screener that we do with them. However, when a student turns 14 years old, they have the right by law to accept or deny services, right? And so we can go and say, student A, would you like to do a screener around this? And they have the right to decline and say, no, thank you. And that happens often, more often than we would like. I'm hoping to build some more trust, if we can find that trusted adult to ask them to do the screener. So it's not just social workers, though they are great, but they don't know every student, right? So if we can get them to take the screener, that's the first step. But even after they take the screeners, they can say no to therapy, which we've offered, like drug and alcohol therapy. We've offered drug and alcohol classes. Again, they can say no. So that, I think, is one of our biggest concerns. Sometimes, which is on the better side, I guess, is we can get them services. They'll accept them and it's all great. But they also don't want us to talk to their families. And again, we can't tell them once they're 14. If they're under 14, we absolutely have to. But at 14, they can say, yes, I want the therapy, but no, you can't talk to my family about it. And so it's good the student's getting some supports and help, but at the same time, we can't wrap services around them in those cases. And so what you were describing would be more of a preventative thing to try to get them to have other activities, to not want to do that. And at the same time, it's a barrier for us to figure out how to get the services to them and get them to accept them as well.
Do you have adequate resources to implement this plan?
Yes.
How is this plan different from the previous plan?
So first of all, there wasn't a comprehensive previous plan until now.
Wow, okay.
And so what I've done is done a lot of research, talked to a lot of groups. So I went to the admin groups, I went to counselors, I went to social workers, I went to all the different groupings to say, what are we doing, first of all? And then where do we need to increase, which is why I added in the strategic priorities section about what needs to happen. I don't think that there was a lot of clarity around what the procedures and processes are, and so it was intermixed. And so when you ask, how do I measure? It's hard to even measure right now. I'm trying to get more specific data around it, but we use the Youth Truth Survey. That's one of the ways that we do that. I use data around who's gone through the classes because we give the classes. We take data on who attends the community events and that kind of thing. But as far as like, are they getting off the drugs once they're on? I don't have that kind of specific information.
Are there other school districts that you're aware of that also have this prevention intervention plan that you could kind of like not have to totally recreate the wheel, but find out some of their measures and things to help you?
Yes, I pulled all of the ones in our surrounding area. And I went to the directors meeting at the Willamette ESD to also ask if there were more things that they could do. I've also gotten myself invited to there's a county-wide group that meets that is specific to drug and alcohol that I'm now being invited to, so I can get on that one and see if we can't hopefully make some more partnerships.
Any other questions?
I'm thinking about the workshops that were done, and considering that obviously their main focus is, again, substance abuse was one of them, vaping and such. And maybe sometimes with that focus, while it has definitely its targets and groups, and I don't know how how well those were attended. I'm also thinking of like microdosing in the sense of like in some of these other events and resources fairs, trying to inject parts of these educational pieces, especially with like the little kids, so that it doesn't feel so sometimes maybe awkward, especially as they're older, that they're going to one session just for this topic, where especially if they're going like with a parent, it feels maybe weird or odd, and so they're not as maybe open to everything that's being stated in those. Again, I don't know how those have gone because I haven't attended any of those specifically, but I'm just kind of trying to see opportunities of other events that already exist and trying to kind of inject those educational pieces so it's not like hitting them all at once, and hopefully.
So if I'm understanding you right, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So basically, let's just say there's another class that's just talking about various supports that we have for students. Maybe there's counseling for loss and grief, and there's substance abuse, and there's other things. Put them all into one class, so it just feels like little bits at a time.
Yes, and I think also for maybe those that do, for instance, well, answering but don't want their families, especially when they don't want their families. I think sometimes an event like that might be easier to go to and hear that little bit without necessarily having it being like the family's like, oh, are we here because of this topic, and making it an awkward conversation as well. That's the
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So things like that. I'm trying to think of these ideas.
I appreciate all the input I can get, honestly. If there are community events out there that are occurring that this topic might fit into, let me know. I'd be happy to go and go to those events as well and speak.
Anything else?
I just want to
comment?
thank Michelle for this. You know, this came to light through Division 22 reporting and evaluation, where we self-identified, hey, there's a gap in our system where we don't have this prevention plan in place. So Michelle stepped in and put this all together and brought it forward.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the substance user prevention and intervention plan as presented?
I move to approve the substance use prevention and intervention plan as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the substance user prevention and intervention plan, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Thank you. Next, under new business, we have interdistrict transfers for the 26-27 year. Juan, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so in your board packet on page 121, you'll find the memo for this. Annually by June 1st, the board needs to take action to decide the number of students or to open up the district for. Our enrollment still is below pre-pandemic levels. We have 3 data sets there on the memo. I'll just touch briefly on what each of those represents. The first one are resident students requesting to leave. So these are students who have never been in our schools. They live in Woodburn, but have never actually been a Woodburn School District student. The second column there, these are students who are current Woodburn School District students and are requesting to leave. And then the third column there has non-resident students. So these are students that live outside of the Woodburn School District who are requesting to enroll with us. So based on where we are with our enrollment levels, still behind where we were previously, when we look at last year's enrollment numbers versus where we are now, we're about 100 students below where we were at May 1st of last year. So the recommendation being brought to the board tonight is to open to interdistrict transfer slots to grades K-5 in the dual language program. You'll note that English Plus is not included in this, recognizing that there is a bubble that exists in our English Plus program. So we would not be opening to that program to students who don't live in our school district boundaries. And then to open up the grades 6 through 12.
6 through 10.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me bite my tongue. Yeah, 6 through 10.
So on Woodburn residents requesting to leave, 20 kindergarten students, do we know why they're requesting to leave or where they're going?
No, we wouldn't.
Jenny?
No, we don't ask. Maybe Jenny can speak a little bit, since Jenny is our manager of all these requests.
We don't ask why they're requesting to leave. We're actually not allowed to.
Okay.
So no. And then various districts, the majority, I would say, of those kinders are neighboring. So North Marion, Mount Angel, Jervis is probably the majority.
With those new 8 kidders moving in, it wouldn't be based on, well, obviously, since they live outside of the district, it wouldn't be based on, like, if they lived in Mount Angel, they wouldn't go to Washington, because that's where, it would be where there's room for them? Is that how that would be distributed?
Yeah, it's where there's room. Sometimes there's a request, they'd like to go to a particular school, but we are going to accommodate where there's best fit, where there's room.
I guess my comment would be, we're opening to dual language programs only to get those English numbers doable. And so how do we assure that once they're here and they maybe don't like the dual language program, that they don't want to shift to English? How do we protect that English program so that kids don't decide they want to change, or parents don't decide they want to change, or too hard for kids, and then they want to go to English and all of a sudden we've got the same problem again? So is there going to be some kind of agreement that, like, you're coming here for dual language, and if that doesn't work, you have to go back to your previous district? How are we going to manage that?
Yeah, we're going to have to account for students as they come in and monitor that. There might be a circumstance where the numbers make it allowable for a student to maybe go into the English Plus program at some point. But we really have to be on top of that, working with our building principals, making sure that they know who these students are, and they're sticking in the program that they were approved for.
Yeah, because I mean, if there is room and we move them and then you get 5 new ones then that live here, I mean, that's where my worry is about, like, allowing them to come in even if there's room. Because at some point in the year, you might get an influx and then there's not room, and then we have the same problem again. So that's just my 2 cents.
So we're prioritizing the needs of the students who live in our community with this recommendation.
Any questions? Anyone? Comments?
I have a question, which I probably wouldn't expect you to maybe have the number for. But it was going to be on, I was looking at the one for students that are in the district but never been in the district and are requesting to leave. Do you by chance know what the number is of new students that are, like, new residents that are coming or joining our district? It's based on, again, the growth and the comments regarding, the growth, but then at the same time, like, I'm aware that the numbers are staying stagnant anyway. Or, again, below COVID.
Well, those would be
Like a
the
demographic study.
current, like in what the current projected enrollment is of our resident students?
The ones
No, I think what she's asking is which students are moving to Woodburn that are requesting to stay in their kind of the district that they're coming from, correct?
not coming from, more like the new, so let's just say I don't, obviously they're moving anywhere, but, from the families that are potentially moving in here with all of the growth that we're having, do you know what number is, like the new students that we're having because they live in the district, but they're new students to our district? It's kind of, sorry.
So what we're gaining through the
Yeah.
growth in the.
But that are our
But there
students.
are students,
Yeah.
yeah.
We,
Those aren't not transfers though. They're actually moving to Woodburn
families who
and
live.
staying?
Yes, that are living in Woodburn, but are new because they moved here recently is kind of where I'm getting at.
And they're staying in Woodburn School District?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't have those numbers like
Yeah.
readily available, but I could speak a little bit to what we're seeing trend wise.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, it's a really curious phenomenon. You see growth, you see homes, you see apartments, and you expect there to be students, kids who are coming with those families and for enrollment to be going up. We're not seeing that. We haven't seen it with the previous growth, homes, apartments that are being built. And we're continuing to monitor that through demographic studies. And the demographic studies that we've done previously, a couple years ago, and the one that was completed last year are all telling us the same thing, that over the next 10 years, we're going to see little to no growth, perhaps even a decline in our enrollment. And that's primarily due to decreased birth rates. It's not just unique to Woodburn, but it's something that's it's happening all over the state and the country. We are continuing to monitor that. We're aware of the continued growth and homes being built. And so we'll be doing another demographic study in the next year to make sure that we're projecting accurately. It's part of our stewardship of the district, knowing our projected enrollment. And what we've seen is that it's pretty consistent with what the studies have shown us is kind of close to what our actuals. So that's little to no growth despite the booming housing market and growth in Woodburn.
can I add a comment to that? One thing I've noticed as I've been doing these for the last 12 years, in the last few years, maybe 5 to 6, I have noticed that as homes north get more expensive, people are getting pushed down and buying, for example, here in Woodburn. One thing in the last, since the pandemic that I've noticed that I had never seen before is that people will move to Woodburn and keep their kids up north, which was very rare that I would work with districts from Lake Oswego, Sherwood, Tualatin. People weren't transferring to those places, and now they are. We have resident students that are driving to where they grew up going, and they're staying there. There are some that if they'll move here, they'll enroll, but some parents are kind of making that commitment. Although they could afford to buy a home here, they're still driving their kids to Woodburn. I think a few years we did pull those numbers, so we can bring them back. If you guys were really interested, I could bring them back, and show you kind of what, how many students, although they're buying a home here, they're staying in their district that they grew up in.
I'd definitely be curious just because I know I have definitely been hearing the trend for a while as well, but trying to pull in some numbers at least to kind of see what it looks like, because I know that again, it ends up being a topic that gets brought up.
Could you also speak a little to the Russian program? Because I know there's some concern about the higher numbers, and I think those are in the upper grade levels, what we're seeing coming in, or why that is not a consideration here.
Yeah, right now the numbers, just looking at our current numbers of in the Russian kinder, and they're very manageable right now. And I look at the numbers of the pending files at registration and we compare where we were at this point in time in registration last year as a comparison, and we're projecting it to be a manageable number of kindergarten.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the interdistrict transfers for 26-27?
I move to approve the open interdistrict transfer slots for the following programs for the 26-27 school year. Grades K through 5 dual language programs, and then grades 6-7 all open.
6 through 10.
Oh, 6 through 10. What did I say?
6-7. That's all right. I know what you meant. Is there a
I
second?
second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving to open interdistrict transfer slots for the following programs for the 26-27 school year? Grades K-5 dual language programs and grades 6 through 10, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries with a 4-0 vote. Okay, does anyone have any suggestions for future agenda items? Anyone? If you don't at this time, you can email Juan or myself and we can discuss those. Okay. Moving on to our board calendar. Here are the upcoming board meetings and district events. May 28, we have the preschool visits at 11 a.m. June 2nd, we have the second budget committee meeting at 5:45 p.m. June 4th, we have the WHS class of 2026 graduation at 6 p.m. Be there early. June 9th, we have a board work session at 5:45 p.m. And June 23rd, we have a regular board meeting at 5:45 p.m. How many are going to be able to make the preschool visits?
I have a reserve, but I might be very tight as with work too.
Okay.
I'll make it. Just
All right. At this time, we will recess the regular meeting for an executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602D to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. Thank you, everyone, for attending. time, the executive session is adjourned. I now call the regular meeting back to order. Thank you, everyone, for your time this evening. With no other agenda